Thank you. Please be seated. Prefect joke of the day is, what do you call it when Batman skips chapel? Christian Bale.
Thanks, Ben. So the prefect joke's taken again to a new height. Set the bar a little higher. Thank you. We'll begin with a little singing, of course. And let's sing Jerusalem, hymn number 5, the Case House hymn. Quietly stand. Thank you. Thank you all. Please be seated. You're in good voice this morning. So a couple questions. So who's excited about the holidays? Honestly. Okay. Who feels they cannot wait until the holidays come? Honestly. So who's so impatient for the holidays to come that, you can't think of anything else? Who is so paralyzed by anticipation of the holidays that it's difficult for you to do anything but just wait for the holidays? Well, I'm glad to see there's fewer hands for that one. So obviously, anticipation can be a really great thing when it carries us along and it gives us something to look forward to. But it's not such a good thing when anticipating something becomes an obsession and gets in the way of our lives, right? You know what I mean. So let me just say that I, too, am anticipating a break with some enthusiasm. But I'm also really aware this week of trying to be as much as possible kind of where I am, trying to enjoy the life that's happening, trying not to compare what I think it will be like when I have time off and I'm just sitting around doing nothing, and comparing that with what's actually going on in this present moment. So I'm trying to enjoy the anticipation I'm feeling without having that anticipation turn into impatience. And so I was thinking last night about a couple thoughts on the difference between anticipation, which is a good thing, and impatience, which is often not such a good thing. So here's a few things for you to think about. So one of the things that I've learned in my life is that impatience can be a problem because it's not like hot and cold water. I can't just decide to be impatient one day and then not be impatient the next. So if I find myself impatiently waiting for tomorrow to come, usually what happens, the next day comes, and then I'm impatient for the next day to come. If I get too impatient for the holidays, when they finally come, they kind of seem to fly by. Because I've kind of got into this habit of living in anticipation of the future so that it's hard for me to experience the present that I've been waiting for. Does that make sense? I mean, you just get into the mood of, oh, the next thing, the next thing. And I think at Shawnigan, we do tend to live this kind of anticipatory existence, don't we? I don't know if you've ever heard this. I've often heard my colleagues say that we live towards the next break. We work toward the next break. We go and go and go, but it's okay because there's another break just around the corner, or almost just around the corner. I don't know if this is such a good way to live. It's good to work hard. It's even good to work full out when there are things to be done. And it's good to rest, obviously, between those bouts of tremendous energy. But I'm not so sure that it's a good thing to live always anticipating the next break, the next holiday. Why is that? For one thing, what happens is that we're in danger of missing the good things that are happening in the present as we're anticipating the future. And for another thing, you may think I'm right or wrong about this, but I think that being impatient has a connection with being full of anxiety. Because to be anxious, after all, means both things. It means being anxious means having anxiety. It also means being anxious for the next thing, being impatient. So I think there may be a connection there. So when you were little kids, was there ever a toy that was really popular that you just had to have? Anybody? I don't know if you guys had that, like Beanie Babies or Ninja Turtles or things. Yeah, some of you. Okay. So when my oldest son who's now in his 30s, was 5 or 6, there was a toy, actually a series of toys, and the main guy in this series was a space rabbit named Bucky O'Hara. Have you heard of him? No, probably not. It was a short-lived trend. So Bucky O'Hara, I guess he was an Irish space rabbit, and he had a few friends. There was a space pig and a space rabbit, I think. I don't remember their names. But believe it or not, this toy was I think it was just maybe a year, maybe not even 2 years, it was so popular that as soon as it got into the store, it would be sold out. But Isaac really wanted this Bucky O'Hara. So after going to probably 100 stores or so, looking for Bucky and finding him all sold out, I thought, well, my mother lives in Florida and there aren't so many little kids there. So I called her and she went off to the shops. Being a grandmother, she didn't just buy Bucky, she bought the pig, the rabbit, I think there was an alligator. She bought all these creatures and sent them up to Isaac for Christmas. So, of course, on Christmas Day, Isaac was deliriously happy. His fondest dreams had come true. He had all the Bucky O'Hara characters. But the next day, he came to Mrs. Ravin. He said, this is the 5-year-old speaking, I thought that having Bucky O'Hara would really make me happy. But I realized that it was just something I wanted, and I could go on my whole life just wanting things and getting things and never really being happy. So wisdom from a 5-year-old. So the real question is, what are we waiting for? And is it possible that what we're waiting for is actually not in the future, but right in front of us, what we're really wanting and needing? And the question also is, how can we find happiness in this moment that we're in right now? We can spend our lives in impatient anticipation of the next thing and never experience anything more than, impatience. There's absolutely nothing wrong with anticipating a holiday or a rest or something good that's coming down the road. Some of life's absolutely best moments are moments of anticipation. The moment when we sit and look at the chocolate cake in front of us can be as good or even better than the first bite. But maturity really means knowing how to live with anticipation without getting pulled out of the moment. It means seeing, anticipating things and planning for things, not as kind of things we have to get through to get to the future that we want, but that these are things, anticipating and planning are a part of life itself, and parts of life to be enjoyed and savored. So there's a little irony there, maybe. So some of you may know the writings of Eckhart Tolle. He has written all these books with titles like The Power of Now and, how great now is. And here's a quote that sums up his philosophy. Don't wait to be successful at some future point. Have a successful relationship with the present and be fully present in whatever you are doing. That is success. So lots to think about there. I just wanted to say one other thing this morning, and that is that I wanted to remind you of the gratitude project that Mrs. Hidlay has initiated in the library. It's a chance for us to express our gratitude by sharing our good fortune with people, with others, particularly young people, people your age. So there's a number of charities that we're supporting that are organizations that support young people in trouble. So please go to the library and find out more about that, and maybe give just the cost of a bag of chips and a candy bar to someone who is in need. And that might help us all get into the real spirit of Christmas as well. And further to getting into the spirit of Christmas, I'm going to ask you to open your hymnals to hymn number 60, Good King Wenceslas. So this is actually an interesting little Christmas carol that is, it's also a story. And the story is pretty clear, but I just want to say a few things about it. So this is a story about King Wenceslas, who on the Feast of Stephen, which is what we think of in Canada as Boxing Day, and he looks out and sees this poor man trudging through the snow in tatters, and he is kind of filled with this spirit of generosity, that, the spirit of the season of Christmas. And this is the story about his response to seeing this poor man outside of his window. And it sounds like it was a day much like this morning in terms of the frost anyways. So if you'll see, there are parts for women and parts for all, and there are parts for the men. So just pay attention to that, if you'll notice in the middle of some of these verses in italics. Yeah. So ready? Please stand.
Christmas.
Thank you. Please be seated. We have one more very exciting piece of business to do this morning.
Wow. So just over a week ago, I think we were entertained in a superb way by our girl band, and I challenged you to come up with a name for the band that had no name. And there was a contest, so we have the great pleasure of announcing the winner of the contest, and I'm going to ask the girls, if they're here, to come on up. There's one of them. There's Michelle there. There's Emma over there. We're missing... Yeah. We're missing one. Okay. Okay, so the name chosen by the band was, you see that? It says Wilbur's Daughters. There we go, stay there, guys. And the person who suggested that name and the winner of the significant award, $100 gift certificate for Amazon. And I told you, I don't mess around with these things. Okay? I just pretend to be Scottish. Was none other than Miss Edgson. Here she is. Come on up.
Thank you for this very generous gift, but in the spirit of giving, if it's okay with you, sure. I'd like to give it back to a student, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
So we're going to draw a name.
All the students who entered.
Oh, all the students who entered names, thank you for sending them forward. I'm sure there were some great entries. Yeah, good. So let's draw one.
Drum roll.
Drum roll. Lucky for me, my advisee, Nicole Zhang. Come on up. I promise it's not fixed. Come on up.
So well done. Thank you, Ms. Edgson. Thank you. Well done, and there we are. We're looking forward to hearing soon from Wilbur's Daughters. Thank you. Good. So I've been debating all morning whether I was going to say the next thing that I'm going to say, but I'm going to say it because, again, when you get to you keep hearing me saying this, but when you get to my age and stage, well, you can say some things and you don't mind making a fool of yourself and all the rest of it, right? So who am I to pass any kind of opinion on the relationships of teenagers, of young people? Yeah? I shouldn't be even venturing there. One of the things you learn as a parent is never to sort of interfere in your son's or daughter's potential relationships because you get the equivalent of the Heisman sort of very quickly. Stay out of it, mum or dad. So where am I going with this? I just want to talk about Snowfest for a second. Listen, we're not asking people to commit themselves to marriage here, right? So keep it in perspective, right? I hate, this is the compassionate side of me, I hate the thought that there might be people, that there are people out there who are sort of angsting about this whole Snowfest thing. Is he going to ask me, or is he going to ask me, or is anybody going to ask me? And then on the other side of the coin, there's he over there thinking, oh, I'd love to ask so-and-so, but I don't think I've got the courage, etc., etc. So stop angsting. You're not committing to a lifetime of marriage. And if everybody that is asked just deals with it in a positive way, right? You don't have to say, oh, no, I hate you. No, that's not positive. No. You can say politely, oh, thank you very much, that's so nice of you, but I can't actually. Or you can say, yes, I'm delighted, or you can say, anything positive, anything nice, but stop angsting people. It's a dance, and if nobody asks you, go anyway, because you'll find other people there who haven't asked anybody and have gone anyway. And you never know, you might end up dancing together or something. Have fun. Keep it in perspective. Thank you.